Well, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, even though it's not quite Thanksgiving. Today is our second annual Thanksgiving cook-along where I've brought together 8 of the best vegan chefs that also can cook SOS-free, sugar, oil, and salt-free. I'm Chef AJ, and welcome to this special episode. We did this last year, but it was during the beginning more of the pandemic where a lot of people weren't able to leave their house. And so we did it on Thanksgiving Day, and people loved it, but they said, that's too late for us to cook the recipes. You need to give them to us in advance. And so we did. If you're on my mailing list, you know we sent out a wonderful shopping list. And so we know that a lot of you are cooking along with us today. If you're not on my mailing list, just get on it. We just send out who's on the show and opportunities. We don't bug you too much. chefaj.com, so you can get the shopping list. You will get the recipes today. Well, if you're on my mailing list, you'll get a really nice rendition of it. We're going to send it out after the show, but we put the recipes in what's called the show notes. So if you watch on Facebook, we really recommend you switch over to YouTube because that's where all the fun is. That's where the community chat feature is. And that's where the show notes are. But realize that YouTube does limit me to 5,000 characters. And when you have 8 amazing recipes, they don't all fit. So some of them will be links rather than printed out, but we do the best we can, and we hope you enjoy. So before I introduce the other extraordinary chefs, I'd like to introduce myself, Chef AJ, and I'm going to do the first recipe, which is a cranberry spritzer. So it's a non-alcoholic beverage that's festive, easy to make. So you're just going to have to give me a moment while I walk to the kitchen, and I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back to show you the first recipe in our wonderful holiday menu. This is called the cranberry spritzer. Very easy to make. All you need is a blender. This is a high-powered blender, but this recipe would probably work even in a $20 blender. And so what we have is 1 cup of unsweetened fruit juice in the blender. Usually I use apple juice. I was out of it. I use pineapple juice. It doesn't matter. Just get one without sugar. And to that, we are going to add a 1/2 cup of fresh cranberries. They are prevalent this time of year, so freeze them. We can get them for 10 cents a bag at the local Winco. Teaspoon of lime juice. And really, that's it. And then it's going to be this beautiful, beautiful shade of pink. I'm going to just blend it up. That took all of 10 seconds. And then I'm going to split it. Try to get a pretty glass if you can. I have different holiday glasses. Camera person, can you please lower this just a little bit? So I split it among 2 or 4 glasses, depending on how big your glasses are. It's just such a pretty, pretty color. And it's very, very tasty. You need that little bit of unsweetened fruit juice, I think, because you know, cranberries are very tart. And then you take your favorite seltzer water or sparkling water. If you can open it, that helps. There we go. And then we are going to fill the top with this. And it's so pretty. And you can even give it to kids. And there you go. And I wish you and your family a very healthy, happy, festive holiday season. Now I will go back and introduce the first extraordinary chef who is as talented as she is beautiful. Just give me a moment. I am back and here to do the very first course, which is appetizers. I once had a teacher in culinary school that said, if you give people a good appetizer and a good dessert, they'll forgive everything in between. It's kind of like if you go to a Broadway show, there's a notion in psychology called recency and primacy. We tend to remember what happened first and what happened last. So to do 2 amazing holiday recipes from Vegan News Daily, we have Elspeth Feldman, who's also known as the Speedy Vegan. Please welcome her to the show. I love your shirt, by the way. Oh, you're going to have to unmute. There we go.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Hi, Chef AJ. Thanks so much for having me. And the shirt is from none other than Chef AJ. So thank you. I love it.
It looks amazing. Charles helped me pick it out, actually, because you had to have something very well, actually, because you're the one that introduced me to this company. That's where my shirt's from. I mean, we wear the best clothes.
Yeah, it's fun. So this is like speed dating here. So I'm going to like jump to it and produce these 2 recipes. And now I know I'm under pressure because the appetizer has to be fabulous. So I have 2 recipes today. I'm going to do endive boats, crispy endive boats with Waldorf salad, which is a raw appetizer. And I'm going to do crispy autumn pumpkin and black bean stuffed potato skins. So they're really fun little appetizers. And let me show you exactly what I do. So this is really perfect for all of us potato and bean lovers out there. So what you want are these lovely little potatoes that are sort of the size of an egg, because these are appetizers. This is not going to be your main course. So I just find these cute little like Yukon Gold type potatoes, and I simply roast them on a baking sheet. I don't prick them. I don't do anything at 400 for about 30 minutes, actually, believe it or not. And you end up with roasted potatoes. And I roasted these last night. So this is something you can do in advance and pop in the refrigerator. So you have potatoes already cooked. And then I just simply cut them in half, and using depending on the size of your potatoes, you want to use a melon ball scooper, or what I often do is I just grab the quarter teaspoon measuring spoon, and I use that to scoop out a little indentation in the middle. So it's kind of like making the smoky devils, the potato skins. So I just scoop out some of the potato flesh. You want to leave a nice little ring of potato flesh around the edge. And I just keep scooping. I'm not going to do them all because I do have some made in advance. So this is kind of what you want it to look like. And I'll just scoop a few more. And don't throw out all these lovely little bits of potato right here. You want to use those as well, but you can do whatever you want with that later. Add it to your mashed potatoes or whatever you're having for your Thanksgiving holiday feast. So on the board here, I have some potato skins that I've already gone ahead and roasted. So what I do is I take a baking sheet and I place a baking tray, like a cooling rack, right on top of it. And I simply place the potato skins. I usually do them face down first. And I pop this into the oven, into a 450-degree oven. So you want to raise your temperature, pop them into the oven for about 12 minutes. And then I take them out and I flip them over. And I do the same thing again for another 12 minutes. And you end up with these lovely, crispy little potato skins. So this is what the little potato skins look like. They're nice and crispy. And then we're going to make a fabulous dip to go inside the potato skin. So let me show you how I do that. So in your blender, just the ingredients are some roasted pumpkin. So I just use just a regular little pumpkin like this that I roasted, and I scoop out the flesh. So about a cup of the pumpkin flesh. And you can use butternut or, whatever you have on hand. It's, all my recipes you can adapt. I'm going to use black beans here. This is going to darken the filling to make it look like a nice rich brown, which will make the end result look like little acorns. I'll show you that in the end. I've got 3 garlic cloves, and I've got a blend of spices here. So I've got cumin, herbs de Provence, paprika, and a salt-free seasoning. You can use any salt-free seasoning you like. I'm using Benson's Table Tasty, but I'm sure you could use some of, I haven't tasted them, but I haven't sampled them yet, but the Well Your World salt-free seasonings would be great. Any of your favorite salt-free seasonings would be wonderful in this recipe. So pop that all into a blender and blend this up. And you can do this when your potatoes are in the oven. This is when you move to the making of the filling. I'm going to just blend this up. I was worried this was going to happen. This blend is not exactly the perfect shape for this. So let me just mix it around a little bit, or I'll grab my other blender very quickly and see if I can't get this to blend. I use a regular size jug rather than the little adapter, because this is not going to blend well in here.
It never works when you're live. Trust me, I know that as a chef. It's like it works all the time except when you're live, the ingredients. Thanks guys for watching. I would love to know how many are cooking along, but I guess you can't be typing in the chat if you're cooking.
Sorry, making blender noise. Is it covering?
Yeah,
It's not good. This this other blender because that size obviously wasn't working well. I had used this blender to make the pre-show dip. But anyway, let's see. So we'll go here. This will be better. Noisy. All right. So now I have my blended up dip here. And if I had more time, I would make it a whole lot smoother, but it doesn't really matter. You can make it chunky, you can make it as smooth as you want. So this is a nice little tip that I use. So this is a tip, it's the 828, I believe. That's the number on the tip. It's one of those open star tips. And then I just popped it into a piping bag, and I get a nice tall glass, and I just pull the edges of the piping bag over the edge of the glass, and then I can pour the dip into the piping bag, and this just makes it easier, so you don't have this floppy bag. It's just a nice. I use the piping bags in a glass all the time for filling, because you don't have a bag falling out all over your countertop. And I'm just going to move this off to the side here, and grab my next item. So what I like to do is take a chopping board, and I pop my little baked or roasted potato skins onto the board, and then I just pipe in some of the filling right into these potato skins. And with the star tip, it ends up looking like an acorn because it has that nice sort of texture of the acorns. So you just pipe that in, let it stand up just a little bit. If I blended it more, it would look a little more brown rather than bright orange. And then I'll pop that back there. So this is what the little acorns look like. And then what I do is I take some fresh chives, because you want to make it look really nice and pretty. And I'll just grab some fresh chives, and I'll just snip some nice green, bright, fresh chives over the top, and let the chives fall where they may. These are really fun. And I just sprinkle those all over the board. And then I'll use a few little pumpkin seeds. So these are just pepitas, and I'll sprinkle those over the board too. And my husband had this wonderful idea, because these are so cute, that he said, why don't you put a little squirrel on the board as well? So this would be fun for little grandchildren or kids, to entice them to try these cute little stuffed potatoes. So those are the one appetizer, and I call them crispy autumn pumpkin and black bean stuffed potato skins. They're awfully cute. So that's just a little one.
They're adorable. And people are commenting your scenery, the way you always have flowers is just so attractive.
Well, I have all my kids are all home. Everyone arrived home last night. So we have an abundance of fruit and food and stuff going around all the table. There's nothing better than having family home for the holidays. So I'm a happy mom. All right. So for the next one, I'm going to move right along. I'm going to do the endive leaves, this is a raw one. This is what they're going to end up looking like. I'm just going to pop those off to the side now and show you what I do. Grab my next little set here. This is a nice seasonal dish, because you have endives, which are a nice winter. These are what endives look like. They come usually in purple or in green. I'm going to use some red grapes, some apples, and fennel. If you're familiar with fennel, this is what fennel looks like. And it tastes just like licorice, and it's really crispy and crunchy. My husband's always looking for something crunchy at the holidays. Even last night, we're having discussions for what's on the menu this year, and he's like, I want crunchy. So I'm like, well, we'll make everything with tortilla chips on top if you want crunchy. So these are crunchy. They've got celery, apple, fennel, and all of the above are crunchy. So I'm safe with this for him. So well, first I'll start with my little endives. What I do with it is I just cut the base off. And this way you can open up the leaves, and they're beautiful little scoops. They work perfectly as little scoops. So let me see, am I covering up my dish here? So I have these already filled with the Waldorf salad. But what I also like to do is, from my old deviled egg days, this is my deviled egg dish. I just pop endive leaves into the little hollowed out areas on one of these dishes. And I can use these as scoops for the Waldorf salad. And so a classic Waldorf salad has walnuts in it. My son, who's visiting from Pittsburgh, is allergic to walnuts. So I'm going to use pecans today. So in my bowl, I have, celery. I have chopped up pecan nuts. And again, you can use walnuts or any nuts that you desire. And then I'm going to use some grapes. So I'm going to show you a little tip for showing you how to cut up red grapes. So I have the grapes here. These are all clean. I just take 2 plates and I'll just pull off the clean grapes and I pop them on top of a plate like this, side plate, dinner plate, whatever plate you have. And then I take another one and I pop that on top. And I press down quite firmly and I take my knife and I just cut right into it. And that's how you cut up a lot of grapes really quickly. So now I have all of these halved grapes. So instead of cutting each grape individually one by one, I have them all done.
Does that always work? Does it capture every grape? And who invented that? It's so clever.
I don't know. I just started doing it. But if you push hard enough down on the plate so it keeps the grapes firm, it always works for me. And then I have just some apple, which I'm just going to slice up. And because these endive boats are really small, you want to cut everything up very small because otherwise it's going to tumble out. And a classic Waldorf salad has like a mayo with it. And you can add a mayo to this. I'm not going to add a mayo, but a mayo would bind it all together. So in my perfect parties, potlucks, picnics, and prep cooking class, I have a couple of recipes one for a cashew mayo, one for a yogurt mayo. And those you can add to this, which will bind it all together and keep it nice and firmly inside your endive leaves. And so the only other ingredient I need to do is the fennel. So I'm just going to cut it off here. And I'll just cut off a few slices of it this way. So just like you're cutting an onion, you want to just sort of dice it all up. And as I say, really quite small if you can, because otherwise you're going to end up with everything falling out of your little endive boats. So just slice it all up, add that to the salad and toss it around. And at this stage, this is when you would add the mayo if you were going to use it. So add that in. Just give it a nice little stir. And then I would fill up the each little endive leaf, just like I've done here. So I know we're short on time, so I'm not going to fill each little one, but you get the idea. And then I would just take a few fronds of the endive and sprinkle those over the top as well, just for a garnish, but also for extra flavor. And then again, I could take some of the chives and snip those on top as well. And you end up with really fun appetizers. So we have our crispy little stuffed potato skins, with our little squirrel and the endive boats. And these are just 2 appetizers that I'm serving. I have an entire cookbook full of vegan appetizers for Thanksgiving and a full menu for Thanksgiving. I have a book called Pardon My Turkey and also a cooking course called Pardon My Turkey with an additional 40 recipes just for Thanksgiving. So if you're interested in any of those, they're on my website, The Speedy Vegan, and you can follow me on Instagram at The Speedy Vegan, and I'll show you what I'm doing this year for Thanksgiving.
Wow, that's incredible. Is it endive or endive?
Oh, I don't know. I say endive, but that's maybe because I'm from Zimbabwe. So how do you say endive? Maybe the French say it that way.
Can you do that trick with the grapes with cherry tomatoes as well?
You can, yeah. Yeah, except the tomatoes are a little more watery inside. So if you push down on them and you cut like that, they get a little bit smushed. But you know, there's so many different types of grape tomatoes or cherry tomatoes. Some are firmer than others. So yeah, you could definitely try it.
Nice. And who is Sammy the squirrel that people are talking about?
I don't know Sammy the squirrel, but
I can explain.
this guy's called Little Peanut. But my daughter Kaylee said that she can explain. You want to run on and explain? My daughter's here, so she's gonna tell us who little Sammy is. I have no idea. It's my daughter Kaylee.
Hi, everybody. I was just on the chat. I was asking everyone to guess the name of the squirrel, and we got many different guesses. So we had Sammy the squirrel. We had Nutcracker. And so I said, oh, you're getting close. So it's Little Peanut.
This is Little
And
Peanut.
I said, we'll name all of Little Peanut's future children after all the names that you guys suggested. My college mascot was Black Squirrel. So enjoy. Hi, AJ.
Very cool. Nice to see you. And God, thank you so much. What a beautiful presentation and what a beautiful, beautiful looking display that you've made.
You're welcome, Chef AJ. Thanks for having me on, and happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I'm so grateful for another year of good health and for friends and family and for you, Chef AJ. Thanks for all you do for all of us.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. So guys, those appetizers were amazing. So I hope you'll try that. And just as amazing, we have another extraordinary SOS-free chef, and we're moving all around the United States, bringing you people from all over. This is Chef Carol Levy. She works a lot with the Plant Powered Metro in New York. That's where I met her. She was my sous chef, but she really doesn't need to be a sous chef. I should be her sous chef. She is so on top of it. Her recipes are delicious. They're not only vegan, but SOS free. And she has one of the cutest voices you'll ever hear. There's three people in the vegan world that I always say you guys should do voiceovers: Chef Carol Levy, Dr. Frank Sabatino, and Dr. Chris Miller. And here she is to present her fabulous roasted carrot soup. Carol Levy.
Hi, Chef AJ. Hopefully, hi, good morning, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for your introduction, and thank you. I'm very excited about making roasted carrot soup. I chose to make soup because I thought that lots of people make mushroom gravy and people make lots of squash things. So we're headed into this with carrot soup, roasted carrot soup. So we only have our 15 minutes. So I'm going to show you what I have done already prepping ahead. First, we're getting a stock pot on the stove, and we're going to on the burner here, and we're always getting it hot. That's very important. So I have that heating up. In the meantime, I have roasted carrots. Here are the carrots. What does that mean? I peeled the carrots and I cut them up into 1-inch pieces, and I roasted them in the oven 425 degrees, and I cut and I squeezed a citrus on top. I suggest lime, but you could use orange, lemon, lime. It doesn't matter. Sometimes I even toss my vegetables in a little aquafaba from the chickpea juice, because you need some kind of moisture when you're roasting the vegetables. So I've roasted the vegetables here, and they were in the oven for about 25 minutes. And I'm making half a recipe at the moment, but you all have the full recipe. So this is 1 pound of carrots roasted. And then what we have here in front is we have onions, celery, garlic, ginger, coriander. And that's mainly what's going in the soup. So the first thing we do here is we get our pan hot, and I put a little bit of water in this pot, flicking my fingers here, and the water's dancing across the pan, and I know that I've got a hot pot. We're going to take our onions, and we're going to saute those. And you can hear them sizzling, right? Right away you hear them sizzling. And we're gonna get that going, and I'm gonna get a spoon. Give this a good stir. Now we're water broth sauteing, and that means that we're either using water or broth. And I have 2 big jars here full of broth. And I'm just gonna pour just a little bit, because we're not cooking with any oil. And the substitute is to use either water or stock. And I always encourage you to make your own stock if you can, because you're cutting up vegetables during the week and you're having all these ends. And this way you control the volume. You know, when you buy those stocks in the grocery store, they're heavy in sodium. So you want to try to avoid all that high salt if you can, and make your own stock. And so this is homemade stock. And I usually, when I'm making soup, whatever peels, like if I'm peeling ginger, peeling onions, peeling carrots, all that goes into the stock. So I made this stock just this morning based on all the vegetables that I'm using today. So the onions are sauteing, and I'm immediately putting in, I have some garlic and I have some ginger. Those are the two things that are going to go right into the pot. And we're going to saute those just for a very few minutes until it becomes aromatic. Okay, and I always push that steam towards my face, not to get a facial AJ, just to get the smell in there and know that you're getting that cooking. And it's starting to stick just a little. So when you see it sticking, you just pour a little more broth, just a little more. You never want your onions swimming, okay? Or your celery, you never want any of that swimming. Now this is really smelling. You can, it's a lot of ginger. The full recipe has a tablespoon of ginger, and you definitely want to use fresh ginger, okay? That's the thing that's important. And you want to take the skin off the ginger. And I always say the easiest way, you can take a knife and peel it, but the easiest way is to take a spoon and just going towards you, you just scrape it, or you can put it on your cutting board if it's easier. And that's how you would peel ginger, is with a spoon. And I always try to do this because the spoon gets in there much easier into those little knobby areas. The spoon is great. And then of course, all this ginger peel always goes right directly into the stock that I'm making so that it's flavorful. So we're gonna get now our celery into the pan, and we're gonna get our coriander. And this was fresh coriander, meaning that it's dried and then I ground it fresh so that it's whole coriander, but you don't have to do that step. I just always like, if there's a spice that is whole and I can grind it fresh, roast it and grind it fresh, it's always gonna be a stronger flavor. So I'm just, again, putting a little more stock in the pan, and then we're gonna get everything, we have pretty much everything into the pan, and I'm gonna take the carrots, and I'm gonna put all the carrots in the pan. Okay, again, I'm just making a half recipe at this very moment because we have another pot in the back with the rest of the soup, because this is going to have to simmer. So I'm just gonna show you, this is hot, and I'm gonna get some oven mitts and just show you what this is looking like before I put the stock in. So this is what this looks like. It looks really good. Carrots, celery, onions, ginger, and garlic. And we are going to put our stock in, and then this is going to cook for like 20 to 25 minutes. And I always have a ladle to measure the stock. Technically, this is 1 quart, and this is 4 cups. And this ladle is 1 cup. So I am putting 4 cups of broth in. 1, 2, oops, we need another jar. And this is gonna be 3 and 4. And basically everything is covered, okay? And I have just a little bit left. I'm gonna save that. And the reason I love to have this ladle, AJ, is because it's a measuring, all the ladles I have are measuring, basically measuring cups, 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup. This is 1 cup and I love it so much. So this cooks now for 20 to 25 minutes because you want the carrots are already cooked, but you want all the flavors to meld, and you want the carrots to be very tender. So because we have a short time, I'm gonna take this away right this very moment. And I'm going to bring another pot, and we're just going to turn this, we're gonna move some of these things here, and I'm just gonna show you how we're gonna blend it. And we have these beautiful garnish already. I'm gonna bring close this other pot of soup that I have. And I've been cooking this for like a half an hour. And what it ends up looking like is it's just carrots. It's just everything cooked that you just saw me cook. And we're gonna take an immersion blender. It's up to you how you wanna blend this. You can do it in a Vitamix if you own one, a regular conventional blender, or a Cuisinart. But what's really great about a stick blender is that you can blend it in the pot and you never have to move. You never have to move hot soup into a blender. I always say that's a little bit dangerous. And if you're going to blend it, then I would definitely let it cool some. But the advantage of doing this is that you don't really have to let it cool. Yes, AJ?
Hi, Carol. There's a question from Estella who's watching live. When you're roasting the vegetables, did you cover the tray?
I did not actually, because you want them to get brown. The whole idea about roasting is locking in the flavor. So you're having a 425-degree oven, very hot, and you're sealing in those juices. So no covering, no necessary covering. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this stick blender and start to blend the soup. And now I don't have a lot of soup here because I have half of it behind me. Takes a few minutes just to blend the soup. I'm gonna lower this because it's wanting to spurt everywhere. It's almost done. You can leave it a little bit chunky, but I really like it velvety smooth. Again, it would be faster in the Vitamix, but I like not having to take it out. Just takes a minute and we're gonna present this and we're gonna add cilantro and mint. And I think it needs just a little more broth to make it a little, I save a little broth always. And I stand a little bit behind because you see it does want to spurt a little bit. And this is almost done. I'm going to get some of the carrots off the side of the pot here. And let's just put that there. I like it very velvety. Sometimes I also throw in a handful of rice. That also went during the cooking process. Or you could sometimes put one potato. That's another way of like making a thicker, creamier soup. Just a little technique. Whoa. Okay, I think I've got this where I want it. Just give it a little more. Okay, this looks really good. We're gonna just put this down here. Okay, and we're gonna move this and we're gonna just present this soup. That's pretty much it. And let's just, my garnish is gonna be cilantro and fresh mint that I've chopped up. And I have a few pepitos, these little nice little green pumpkin seeds that I've toasted. You could put pine nuts. I also have a little teeny bit of cashew cream. Cashew cream is something I just soak cashews in water or lemon, and then I blend them. And I have a little bit of that left over. So that too could go in here if you wanted. And of course, we're gonna get the soup into the pan here. We're just gonna out of the pan, put it in here. Beautiful orange color. Really beautiful. And of course I need to taste it. I'm already serving it and I'm just realizing that we didn't taste the flavor just to, oh my goodness, it's super delicious. And I'm gonna put a little bit of this in here into the soup itself. We're gonna put most of this cilantro and the fresh mint into the soup. And then we're gonna take the rest of this and we're gonna garnish it. We can put it on top. And then I have just a hair of a little bit of cashew cream And I'm just gonna put that on top. And that's pretty much our soup for Thanksgiving. And I'm gonna wipe this down with a little cloth. You never wanna serve. Presentation is everything, right?
Right. And can you come closer to the camera when you actually present it?
Yes, so here is our beautiful, beautiful soup. Can you see? And I'm just gonna, if I tilt it anymore, we're gonna lose the soup. That's the problem with showing something liquid, right? Is that you'll lose the soup. And then we're gonna put our pumpkin seeds, and I've just misplaced the little pumpkin seeds. Here they are. So we have a little bit of I'm gonna put that on top. The pumpkin seeds, I put a little cashew cream, and of course the cilantro and the fresh mint really bring up the flavor, because we're not using any salt here, right? So we have to figure out how are we gonna give the soup a good punch flavor. We have a lot of ginger, we have a lot of garlic, and it's then topped with the mint and the cilantro. So lots of forward flavors. and then the pumpkin seeds just create a little bit of a crunch. And that's our roasted carrot soup.
That looks beautiful. If you make so much, can you freeze it? Does it freeze?
Oh yeah, soup is always good frozen, but this is a good soup to make ahead of time. On Thanksgiving, you're trying to coordinate all those dishes, right? What's going in the oven, what's going on. This is something you could just make ahead. And the longer it sits, a couple days ahead, the better, right? Because the ginger and the garlic, everything really melts together. So this is a perfect make ahead soup.
Yeah, I think soup's better the next day anyway.
Oh my gosh, so much food is better the next day, right?
I agree. I so agree with that. That's why these people that don't like leftovers, I like leftovers better than the original.
Oh my gosh, it's not just the lasagna, it's the eggplant, it's the everything. I mean, it's so good the next, the longer things sit, sometimes the better it is, right? And don't you and I talk about batch cooking all the time, right? So that you're not in the kitchen. People think because I'm a chef that I'm here every single day in the kitchen cooking every single meal. It's so not true. I cook a bunch, and then I make sure that I'm set up for the week.
Same here. That is really the secret. I forgot to ask Elspeth there. If she's watching, maybe she could type, but what are you serving for your own Thanksgiving this year?
Oh my gosh. I usually make, I'm all about the dessert, Chef AJ. I like start with the dessert. So I usually make some kind of pumpkin something. I'm really in love with pumpkin chia pudding. So I'm working my way backwards from the dessert. Chunk chia pumpkin pudding. I really like some kind of loaf, or sometimes I do a stuffed delicata squash, and then soup, and then always a ton of greens. I'm all about the piling on a bunch of just mixed like beet greens. I love cooking those. And I just it's my regular everyday food, to tell you the truth, Jane. I don't know if it's so special for Thanksgiving, except for the added cranberries but it's the same thing that I cook all the time: vegetables, and lots of vegetables.
Here's a question from Joy, who's watching live. There are many different varieties of mint. It's true. There's spearmint, there's peppermint. So she's wondering, what type do you use for the soup?
Oh, I actually like this peppermint. Actually, peppermint. Both of them are fine. Peppermint, spearmint, but this is the one I've been having in my yard. So this is actually, I believe this is spearmint, to tell you the truth. This is a spearmint. It's a big leaf, and honestly, sometimes you're right about the mint. She's smart about it. There's even chocolate mint. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. You can grow that. It's amazing.
It's awesome for dessert. I love it for dessert. But this is just regular store-bought mint, just regular that I buy. And then of course cilantro. And the combination of, you want to chop the mint and the cilantro, equal amounts, because it's going to give you your flavor.
Great. Well, this was wonderful. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation.
You're welcome. And thank you for inviting me, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Okay. Nice.
And you'll be back. A lot of the people, you'll be back for the Christmas cook along.
Oh, yes. And AJ, can we also just say that you and I are going to be on the Plant-Powered Metro New York Plantathon, which is a Giving Tuesday, November 30th. And you and I are going to have fun together. We are not in competition. I'm not calling it Iron Chef. They can call it whatever they want. You and I get to cook together at the same time for a 15-minute segment.
I can't wait. But I'm competitive, so I'm gonna crush you. No, I'm just kidding. It'll be great.
So nice about it. I think it's just going to be fun, and it is an Iron Chef, and we're going to have mysterious ingredients that we won't know what we're going to have, and I'm really excited.
All my great recipes have come from Iron Chefs, not knowing what I was going to have. So I can't wait to see you. Yeah, guys, check that out. We're going to be having some fun together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's November 30th, and I'll see you then, Chef AJ. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That soup looks amazing. And here we have another amazing chef and an amazing recipe. Her name is Shada Soleimani. She is from Healthy Cooking with Shada. I'm going to rename her on the Zoom because right now she's called Apple, and I don't think that's her name. There we go. So now she can have her own name on it. She's going to be making a healthy family harvest salad. Please welcome my friend Shada. How are you? I haven't seen you, well, since before the pandemic.
I know. I'm doing great, AJ June. How are you doing? How's the family?
I love your shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. I knew you would like it. Well, I'm excited to be here with you guys today to celebrate Thanksgiving. And I wanted to share with you the salad that I'm going to be making for our Thanksgiving. It's a family harvest salad. And the reason I call it that is because we've got the butternut squash, we've got the pomegranates, we've got the herbs, we've got the tangerine, things that you would typically have for Thanksgiving. And because we're on a limited time, I've gone ahead and chopped everything up and it's pretty much ready to go. So I've got my romaine lettuce in here that's already chopped up. We're also going to add to this chopped kale, because kale always makes everything better. I'm also adding shredded carrots. Now, I did not shred the carrots myself, being lazy. So I went ahead and went to Trader Joe's and got the shredded carrots. Now, butternut squash. In the past, I used to take a whole butternut squash and I used to cut it and cube it and do all that. And then I'd steam it and I'd have it ready for the salad. Well, now if you go to Trader Joe's, they have butternut squash that's already been cubed, but they also have these wonderful butternut squash. I don't know if you can see it, AJ, but they're like in a zigzag form. And they look like a French fry. And I don't know if you've used it, but I absolutely love these guys for the salad. So I've already steamed that for probably about 5 minutes in my Pampered Chef micro cooker in the microwave. And we are going to add that to it. Now, we're also going to add wild rice. And because I want this to be a whole hearty meal, you don't have to add the wild rice to this, but I think the wild rice adds a lot of nice flavor to this. And if you go to my YouTube channel, I've made a video on how you can make the wild rice in the Instapot really quick and easy. Not a problem at all. Now, we're also going to add, as you all know, my favorite pomegranates. And AJ knows how I'm obsessed with pomegranates, and I can't wait for the season because I will add pomegranates to almost just about everything. Now, I love a lot of herbs in my salad, so we are going to add parsley. Now, if you don't like chopped parsley in here, leave it out. There's no, you don't have to add it. Or if you want, you could add cilantro to this. Either one will work. And my aunt was gracious enough. She grows mint in her backyard. So we've also got fresh chopped mint in here. Now, I would not overdo it on the mint because sometimes the mint might make it, if there's too much mint, it might make the salad bitter. So you don't want to do that. And the other thing, the last thing I'm going to add to this is tangerines. Now, depending on the size of your tangerine, if you go and buy the little cuties, those are like the perfect size and it'll fit in the salad. You don't have to cut them up. But when I was at the store, the only thing I found was the Satsumo tangerines, and I absolutely love that brand. But they were big. The pieces were like the size of an orange almost. So I cut them in half because I want them to have, I don't want a big tangerine in my mouth that I can't even, bite into. Now I'm going to toss this salad and you're going to see the gorgeous colors that are in here. I love putting gloves on and getting in and mixing the food really, really well. But you don't have to. And certainly, if I was serving it, I, have the serving spoon. So let me show you. Look at that, AJ. Doesn't that look delicious?
Gorgeous.
And honestly, even just the way it is, I know AJ doesn't do a lot of salad dressing, but you could eat this the way it is just because of the pomegranates are really juicy and the tangerines are really juicy. So is there any questions on the salad portion of it right now?
Not yet, but I will scroll and look.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the salad dressing. So we're going to be making a pomegranate orange salad dressing. You're gonna need a high-powered blender, high-speed powered blender. I'm using a Vitamix, but you certainly can use whatever you have on hand. So now the recipe that you guys got, I'm doubling that. So, instead of 3 tablespoons of orange juice, I'm putting in 6 right now because I want to make enough for the salad, and I want to make enough for a little bit of leftover. So I've got 1 shallot already in here. I've got my cashews. Now, you don't have to use cashews for this if you're trying to make it 0 fat. You certainly can make this with cannellini beans if there's not a problem, and it actually tastes fantastic. We are going to use fresh orange juice. But actually my mom did all this for us. So thank you, Mom, for doing this. We're going to put fresh orange juice in here.
What do you make for your Thanksgiving dinner other than that?
Well, aside from this, I'm also going to be making my berry and mango stuffing, which I just posted the recipe, but you guys can go on YouTube and find that. But I am actually making your favorite Persian dish, which is what, AJ June?
Oh, gourmet sabzi? Oh, no, wait.
No, you're not a fan of gourmet sabzi.
No, wait. It's tadid?
Well, I'm going to be making tadid.
Gaz, kharesh, khamesh, what's it called?
Come on, you got it.
Oh my gosh, my Persian is not good. Shoot, what's
God,
it
you
called?
need to come back.
It's the one, oh my God, you made it when Hans Steele came over for dinner. I can taste it, I can see it, but I cannot think of the name.
Yours and Rebecca's favorite.
Yeah.
It starts with a B.
Bim.
No, it's Khoresh Tabed.
Khoresh Dabesh, that's right. Yeah, I've never been that good with. When are you going to write a Persian cookbook already?
Well, I've got Persian. I've done a whole series of Persian webinars that is on my website that you can go and purchase. I have to open this, but I've done that. But I am working right now on doing some stuff. So hopefully soon, guys, hopefully soon. All right, now, the other thing that's going in here is pomegranate molasses. If you go to the Middle Eastern store, you can find pomegranate molasses and you can find them in completely different brands. The problem is with the ones that they have added sugar to that, and we don't want that. So if you go to my Amazon affiliate page with Healthy Cooking, you can find pomegranate molasses that is just pure pomegranate, and there's nothing else added to it. And that's what we want. We don't want anything else. We just want the pomegranate molasses. And in the recipe that AJ's talking about that I'm making for Thanksgiving, I don't know if you remember, AJ, but I put a whole bottle of this in that recipe.
Wow.
Yeah, it is concentrated. It's absolutely delicious, and it just gives it a nice tang. So being Middle Eastern, we grew up on a lot of pomegranates, and we grew up cooking with it a lot and using it in a lot of our food. So if you come to my house, I've got like 2 pomegranate trees. I wish the entire backyard would have been filled with pomegranates, but oh well, what are you gonna do, right? So let's put it back.
And so you see them yourself.
Yes. And on YouTube, I've actually done a whole video showing people how to de-seed the orioles from the pomegranate. But when we were at True North, Chef Ramses was trying to teach me a really quicker way. I mean, his way was amazing. And I still couldn't get the hang of it because all he would do was slice it and then he would put it in the palm of his hand, bang the back of it, and bam, everything came out. That didn't quite work out for me. So in the recipe, it calls for a 1/2 cup of water. Start out with a 1/2 cup or a quarter of a cup if you're making, half ingredient. And then check it out and see if you're going to need to add more water. It's a lot easier to add water than to try to take it away because it might be too runny. So we're going to set this. Sorry about the noise. So you want to make sure that it's completely grounded up. This will thicken just a little bit. Yeah, it needs to be blending a little bit more, but I don't want to do it because I don't want to give you guys the headache with the noise. But you get the gist and you get the idea. And, oh, it's tangy. I love the salad dressing. And I would not add this until you are absolutely ready to serve it. So, and maybe perhaps people will take their salad and they'll add as much as they want. Now, the other thing, the last thing that goes in the salad is pepitas. Again, pepitas and pistachios. Completely, it's okay to leave that out. And in fact, 99% of the time, I do leave it out. I don't add it in here because especially if I'm already got cashews going on in here. But, it's a holiday and your family may love pumpkin seeds and they may love pistachios and they may not be eating a whole food plant-based diet. So why not make the food a little bit more appetizing for them and make it the way that it's supposed to be? But you certainly can add that to it as well. So again, this is basically it. That's our recipe for today. And if you go on my website, if you go on my YouTube channel, Healthy Cooking with Shada, this salad, I've made a video and you can see it. And you can also find other recipes on my channel and my website that you guys could be using for your Thanksgiving meal. The stuffing is absolutely delicious. And I hope that you guys give it a try.
Wow, Shada, that was great. I mean, that was so easy to make.
It's really easy to make. And if I were you guys, because I know the day of Thanksgiving, you've got a lot going on your plate, you could actually make this salad a day in advance, but don't put any dressing on it. Do not toss the dressing in here. Make the salad a day in advance. Make your salad dressing a day in advance. And then you have it ready to go on the day of Thanksgiving when you're ready to serve it.
Yeah, great idea. Charlie's asking, what's in the glass bottle next to the orange juice?
Oh, this is lime juice. This is fresh lime juice that we do ourselves. This is fresh orange juice, and this is the pomegranate molasses.
Yum. I love that stuff. And you can find it really in almost every grocery store now. It's not that hard to find anymore.
I don't know because I don't go to too many stores anymore. So where have you been able to find it? Because I usually get it on Amazon, or that's basically it.
Oh my God, I've even found it in the small town of Westmoreland, California, driving home from Rancho, but I've seen it at Ralph's. I've seen it at Gelson's. I haven't looked at the Winco to see if they have it, but of course, specialty stores have it, but if they don't have an ethnic market near them, I have seen it in stores, but of course, Amazon would be fine too, but that stuff is delicious.
That stuff is delicious. And there's many, many, many uses for this pomegranate molasses. It's really delicious. And I'm so glad that more and more stores are carrying it and more people are starting to learn about it. Because like I've been telling you, we've been using this for years and years and years and years because in the Middle Eastern cooking, we use pomegranates and pomegranate molasses an awful lot. So
right. Before there was California balsamic, there was pomegranate molasses. And, we used it this last time at Rancho La Puerta. Either they couldn't get or they were out of regular balsamic. And we used that to roast the vegetables. It was fantastic.
It's delicious. And you can make different types of salad dressing with this. And sometimes you can just pour it. Sometimes what I do on my salad dressing, I'll pour just a little bit of pomegranate molasses and I mix it with the lime juice. And it is absolutely delicious.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, good. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you and your mom and the rest of your family. And thanks for taking the time to show us a delicious recipe that we can make in advance for
Thank you
Thursday.
for having me, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. Take care. And guys, make sure that you register for next year's Truth About Weight Loss Summit, because this is the first time Shade is going to be an expert in that summit, because it'll be 10 years that she has kept off 120 pounds. So you'll have to make sure you come there and hear her story, and maybe she'll even do a recipe for us.
Thank you, AJ.
All right, take care. So
Bye.
we have, I think we have like a couple more chefs. So we interrupt this broadcast to tell you that the next chef isn't going to make it. So Katie May, who was going to do the entree, which is the lentil loaf, had trouble connecting to the Wi-Fi because she's not at her home base. She'll be home tomorrow. So what we're going to do, the recipe is still in the show notes, but we're going to do a bonus live at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, where she's going to show you the entree, the lentil loaf. And she apologizes, but that's showbiz. But the show must go on. And when you think about it, Thanksgiving really is all about the sides. I mean, the dead turkey in the plate, I mean, that's not even what people care about. They want everything around it. And what people really want is going to be demonstrated by our next guest, Kathy Fisher, author of Straight Up Food. And she's going to be making everybody's favorite mashed potatoes and gravy. Hi, Kathy. I haven't seen you in so long.
Hey, Chef AJ. It's great to be here. Nice to see you.
Wow, you've got a wonderful apron on.
It's the food from Dr. McDougall's website.
I've got to get one of those. That's a great apron.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is people make mashed potatoes even when it's not Thanksgiving, don't you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what else are you going to have at your Thanksgiving dinner other than mashed potatoes and gravy?
Oh boy, I'm gonna have some cranberry relish. We're gonna do some sweet potatoes. Probably the lentil rice loaf, which is a recipe of mine. That's good, and you can make it ahead and freeze it. It's super easy. And the gravy I'm making today also goes well on the lentil rice loaf, as well as the mashed potatoes. If you have stuffing, this gravy goes right on stuffing. But it seems like we're kind of keeping things a little smaller the last few years. So we're not going full feast. We're just doing like 6 things.
6 things is still pretty good.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Are you going to make your taters in your Instant Pot?
My mom's in charge of potatoes, so I don't know. She probably will. She's full Instant Pot lady. She has the big one. She has a smaller one. So yeah, that might happen.
Nice.
Sure.
Nice. All right. So let's see what you're going to make for us today.
Okay, so mashed potatoes and creamy mushroom gravy. And I'm going to turn on my and I am going to keep my timer just so I know when I'm getting close to the end. So we're going to start with the creamy mushroom gravy. This is super easy. I've already started it so I can get done in time. And the first step is because we want a little richness in the gravy. The creamy part is 1/4 cup cashews and 2 cups of water, which I already have in my Vitamix here. And what I do, it just helps the nuts get soft if you pre-soak them. And I've even given them a little pre-blend as well. So we're going to come back to that, but that is step 1. And if you don't want to use cashews, you can use another kind of nut if you want, like a walnut or something. But gravy generally has some fat, some richness to it. So that's why I put the cashews in there, but just 1/4 cup. If you want less, you can do less. If you want it richer, you can do more. So step 2 is the mushrooms. So we've got the mushrooms cooking in the skillet. I've already kind of gotten them going. And also to add flavor, I've got a carrot, I've got a celery rib in there, and also an onion, or a half an onion. A yellow onion, white onion, doesn't really matter. And we just want to soften these up, which I have done. There's not really water in the bottom of the skillet. This is an Ozeri nonstick skillet, by the way. I love this. And so while these are softening and cooking and the onions are getting translucent, I'm going to get my garlic ready. I just want 2 teaspoons of garlic, which is roughly equivalent to 2 cloves of garlic. So I already put the cloves of garlic into my little Tupperware garlic chopper here, which I love. And then you just put this like a toy. The more you pull, the finer it chops. I'm adding the garlic in after this stuff because garlic has the tendency to burn or scorch a little easier. So that's why we add it in a little later. So that's 2 teaspoons of garlic. And then usually add a little water just to kind of help it move around.
That chopper thing's the best, isn't it?
Yes, I think you turned me on to that. I just love it. I love it.
You know, because I find when you use a garlic press, it's so hard to clean.
It's hard to clean, it's messy, yeah. All right, if I'm just doing 1 clove of garlic, then I'll just use my knife. But if I'm doing more than 1, I love this little thing. And you can also chop a bunch ahead of time. It's great. Okay, so once our garlic gets softened, if you're feeling particularly lazy, you could just use dried garlic, granulated garlic, something like that. All right, and we're also going to put in a teaspoon of poultry seasoning, which doesn't have poultry in it. It's just a seasoning that traditionally has been used with poultry, but it's just herbs, green herbs, and it's just that holiday smell and flavor. That's when I use poultry seasoning the most, during the holiday season. Whenever you put heat on dried herbs and spices, it just kind of gives them a shock and makes them even more flavorful. All right. And then if you do want to put in a little black pepper, you can do that too. I love some black pepper. Okay. So if you were doing this at home, this sauteing stuff would take you, maybe 5 minutes, but I'm done because I pre-started it. So I'm going to turn this off and I'm just going to add this into the Vitamix. So this is step 3. We're going to put it right in there, very gracefully, very carefully. Okay.
Where'd you get that pan, Kathy? At a store or online?
I bought it online and it was pretty inexpensive. I forget how much, but I learned later part of the reason it was so inexpensive is because it doesn't come with the lid. You have to buy the lid separately. So I still have never bought the lid, but it is available. And I learned about that pan from Chef Bravo from True North because he uses it to make crepes and it's just a great, not too expensive pan. All right, so we're just going to blend this up till it's nice and smooth. Now, if you want some little chunks in your, actually, I'm going to put this back over here. Some little chunks in your gravy, you can just blend a portion of it and then pour it all back in the pan. And then we will heat this up. And as it heats, it will thicken a little bit more. We don't really need to boil it. We just want to heat it up. And I just use the same used pan. I don't care if there's some little bits in it. And sometimes at this point, I'll put in a little bit more black pepper, because black pepper goes great in gravy. There's some other herbs and spices that you like in particular. You can add those. Although I don't know what those would be. I don't use any salt. Ooh, that looks good. I'm not gonna, you can kind of see that, but I'm not gonna tilt. I'm just gonna warm that up. Okay, and while that is warming up, and by the way, I put these persimmons here, even though I'm not using persimmons today, because I saw how beautiful Elspeth's kitchen was, and I had no beauty, so these are my beauty. Okay, so while that's warming up, we're going to finish our mashed potatoes. I've already cooked these mashed potatoes. So you start with 3 pounds of white potatoes. I've used the russet, good old russet potato. I like russets better than Yukon Gold because Yukon Golds are a little sticky, gluey. These make fluffier mashed potatoes. So I have peeled them, just cut them in chunks and boiled them with 2 teaspoons granulated or dried garlic and 1 teaspoon granulated or dried onion. And that just gives some flavor to this. Now I'm not going to add any fat to this because we have the gravy to go on top. So we don't need any fat in the mashed potatoes. And even when I make the mashed potatoes at home for myself, I don't add a fat. If you do, we're just going to add some of the cooking water, which is flavored because we add the dried herbs and spices. But if you do want to add some fat, you can add a little, like half this, soy milk or other non-dairy unsweetened milk if you want to give a little richness. If you do want even richer potatoes, you can do that same trick where you blend some water with some cashews, blend it till it's really, really blended well, and then pour it in here. But right now, and these are nice and tender and soft, I'm just going to add a little bit of the cooking water and just do it gradually so you don't add too much. And you could also use the good old potato masher if you want, but what I like to do is use the blender so they're super, super blended. So I kind of go up and down for a while first.
I remember those hand mixers from back in the day.
I rarely use it, but I love it for mashed potatoes.
Do you ever use any of the liquid that you cook the potatoes in?
That's what I'm doing.
Nice.
Yeah, I just took some from the pot. This is the garlic and onion flavored water, cooking water.
Do you have a preferred potato you like for mashing? Like I like Yukon Golds, but some people like Russell's.
You could do either. You could do red potatoes, leave the skins on, take them off. You could even do mashed yams. I don't know how that would be with this gravy, but yeah.
Tracy's saying, could she substitute white beans for the nuts if she wanted to be completely fat-free?
Sure. You wouldn't have any richness in your gravy, but it would still be white and creamy, you know. Or I wonder how it would be just without any beans or nuts. It would probably still be good. All right. So this started to boil, this gravy, so I just turned it off. I'm just going to use this cute little dish to plate my potatoes. Some of them. Ooh, look at that. Yummy. So you don't need butter, you don't need milk. Look at this. So good. And again, if you're having gravy as well, you don't need to put any richness in your potatoes. Oh, so good. So good. I even got my little gravy boat here. Let me see how gracefully I can pour this into my gravy boat. Well, not very. I never use this gravy boat, so I'm like, oh, I gotta use that today. All right. So there is our gravy all done, and I gotta pour it over potatoes for you because I still have time. If you wanted to put some chives on your potatoes, some chopped green onions, and part of the deal is we want this to look like what we're used to eating in traditional mashed potatoes and gravy, but just make it healthier. So there you go. It looks like a mashed potatoes and gravy. And I would also, as I love black pepper, put a little bit of that as a garnish. And there you go. Woohoo!
Potatoes are really the ultimate comfort food, and they should be enjoyed not just at the holidays.
No.
Don't you feel sad for people that avoid potatoes? It's like, I can't imagine a life without potatoes.
I know, they're the best. I eat them every single day, every single day.
I know, and people say, "Oh, they're gonna make I gain weight when I eat potatoes." I mean, they're like nature's perfect food. You could live on them.
Totally. I do.
Yeah, well, and it shows. You look amazing. Thank you so much, Kathy Fisher. You are just a delight, and your food is delicious. I hope I see you one of these days.
I'm sure you will. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys, and make sure to check it out. And if you don't have the book Straight Up Food, it is a keeper. It's beautiful. It lays flat, and every recipe has pictures. And now we have someone else from the True North space. We have the executive chef, Chef Ramses Bravo, and he is going to be making a cranberry relish. You guys don't name your Zooms properly, and then we have these really funky names. So I will change it for you so that it doesn't look all weird on the broadcast. This is my brother from another mother. He also makes designs much of my jewelry. Please welcome Chef Bravo. Hello, how are you?
Hi, AJ. How are you?
Good. Oh, you're wearing an apron and everything. You're serious today.
Well, I saw Kathy wearing one, so I thought, well, maybe it's, got to wear one too.
Hey, it's the holiday. So you're always in charge of the relish for your family, aren't you?
I am for the last 4 or 5 years, maybe.
It's crazy to me that people still put sugar in relish. It's not, I mean, yeah, maybe you could argue that certain things might need sugar, but not cranberry relish.
Well, I think the whole sugar thing was because cranberries are so sour. So before, most of the population didn't know any better. They're like, oh, just throw some sugar in it, it'll balance out. But this recipe, it does not use any sugar, refined sugar, that is. So you can make a nice, sweet, yummy cranberry relish for your Thanksgiving table without sugar. And it's not that, I made it a sugar-free thing. It was just, a way to make a recipe that is completely whole food plant-based. So
Nice.
Okay. So I'm so jealous. I see everybody else on the broadcast. They have this sort of open kitchen layouts, and I don't. I'm sorry. So you're only going to see like part of me. I'm going to focus on the food now. Although there is a possibility I might be getting a open kitchen soon. So, fingers crossed on that.
Wow, that would be cool.
Yeah. So the first thing is I'm going to show you the dates here. I use medjool dates for this recipe. I find that they have like the perfect balance between stickiness and sugar content. So I have 8 of them here. I don't want you to watch me do every single one of these, but I do want to make a point of make sure that to use whole dates, not pitted dates. Because inevitably there will be a time when there is a pit in there that wasn't supposed to, and now you've ruined a tooth or somebody else's tooth, or you can actually break, your equipment. Date pits are extremely, extremely hard. They will not chop up. So I've got 10 dates in, so I count my pits, and in here I have 10 pits going out. So I always make sure of that. And now, the star of the show, fresh cranberries. They go into the food processor. So if I were to just chop this up, you'd still have a reasonably tasty sort of relish. It's essentially a sweet and sour combination between the cranberries and the dates. However, I always like to add a little bit of depth, a flavor to my recipes. So that's where the orange is going to come in. So I'm going to do a couple oranges, both zest and juice. And it's not that you like get this really strong orange flavor in there. It's just, again, it's a depth of flavor, so that it just doesn't fall flat. It's like, oh, cranberry dates, all right, done. There's actually like a finish to it where you're like, oh, that was really good. I should have some more. And as you mentioned a little bit earlier, Thanksgiving for a lot of people is all about the sides. And so this here turns out to be a wonderful complement to the rest of the meal.
You know what, I wanted to ask you if you knew the answer to this question, and I don't know if you still serve tamales on Christmas Eve at True North, but I'm having on Rebecca Martinez, who's Mexican, and she's doing tamales on the Christmas Eve show. And she says it's been a tradition, but she doesn't know where it started. Do you know?
Where the tradition of tamales for Christmas?
Yeah, where did that, is it just something that always has been, or is there a story behind it?
There probably is a story behind it. You know, that it must come from like the old Mexican days back in the 1800s, probably. It could possibly go date even before that, like pre-Spanish conquest, because tamales are made from corn, and corn was like the staple food of the natives. So I would imagine it probably does go back even further. I know that back in the day, obviously there was not Christmas for the natives because there was no Christianity around. But they did have holidays that were held in honor of one of their main gods, the god of war and god of fire, and they happened right around the same time a year. And so when Christianity came over, they just basically like, oh no, you can still have your party. We're just gonna, celebrate it in honor of something else, and that's how they were transitioned easily into that. Okay, so I'm adding again the juice of the 2 oranges here, and I'm gonna go ahead and start. I want to make a quick note. This recipe also calls for a couple tablespoons of ground flaxseed. I add that in the recipe for a couple of reasons: to increase nutrition, as well as fiber, because traditional Thanksgiving meals can be extremely heavy. So this is my way of sneaking in a little bit something to help push everything along. However, I'm not adding it to my recipe right now because I'm actually making this for our Thanksgiving meal. So I'm sort of prepping ahead. This is something that you could do a few days in advance. But I don't want to add the ground flaxseed because sometimes flaxseed sort of, after that many days, it can start to turn the flavor a little bit. I've had the experience of making a flaxseed dressing, and it just, even though it was in the refrigerator, it sort of fermented and the flavor was completely different by the next day. So I'm leaving them off until day of. Just I wanted to point that out.
Great. Have you ever frozen cranberry relish? Can it be frozen?
Yeah, it can be frozen. Yeah. All right, so here we go. Sorry, I'm making a mess. I got the food processor here sort of on balance so that it reaches the outlet. So let me see if I can stabilize it here a little bit. Christ, I'm making everything shake. Okay. So now I'll show you what this looks like. This is why I want that open kitchen, because it starts to be an issue. Okay, so here's sort of what it looks like. It just looks like all chopped up sort of relish here. Now, how I was able to really convince my family to get into this one is with the addition of some jalapenos, which I'm about to show you. Because this is a sweet and sour sort of combination, it works really well. But in a Mexican household, you always have to have spicy stuff. So this was a way for me to convince my dad this could be like the salsa in place of the hot sauce sort of thing. And I do that by adding some chilies in there. I'll show you a quick trick, which I learned on our recent trip to Rancho La Puerta. You might have seen this before, AJ, when we were in the kitchen and Gina showed us how to seed a jalapeno. So I'm going to cut the tip here of the jalapeno so that I can stand it flat, so it's sort of stable. And then holding the stem part, I just go around and cut the flesh, and then you end up with the seeds all in your hand right here. So that was a cool trick that I learned from Gina there at Rancho La Puerta. However, this is for a Mexican household, so the whole thing is going to go.
That makes sense.
And I'm probably going to end up adding another half here. So there's really not much to this guy here other than the fact that it's super yummy and it's really simple to make. And it really just takes on a very simple concept of sweet and sour put together. And if you prefer, and if you want to, you know, a touch of spice in there as well. So here we go. All right, gonna quickly scrape the sides of the food processor. It's looking beautiful. That's it. And now I am done with the relish for Thursday. So I'm gonna scoop it back into the plate here so you guys can see what it looks like. So if anybody has any questions while I scoop this out, this would be a good time.
Let's see. Well, Vicky loves the idea of the jalapeno. Vicky will be on the Christmas cook along with us. Vicky Brett Gock. Actually, Vicky's doing 2 shows, Christmas and the day after. You guys have to check that out because she's going to teach us how to repurpose leftovers. How do you repurpose leftovers, Ramses? And do you do that at True North or in your home, or are you?
Oh yeah.
Like, can you give us some suggestions on how, like, for example, like, let's say there were too many mashed potatoes, what would you do?
The idea for me for leftovers is to make them look different. So although they are leftovers, excuse me, let me show you this real quick here. So you can see that beautiful, you can see the little green specks in there somewhere. I'm gonna take a quick taste just in case it wasn't hot enough for the family. No, actually it's pretty good. So it's got a nice kick. So leftovers. So to me, making them look different is the key, because there are some people like my dad. He could live off of leftovers every day of his life. He would not care. But I know plenty of people who, for whatever reason, the concept of having quote unquote old food, it doesn't sit well with, you know, for them. I don't know why. You know, as long as it's not spoiled, you know, food is food. But if you make them look different, I think that's the key. So mashed potatoes, for example, you asked specifically. So if I have too many leftover mashed potatoes, what I would do is throw in some rice flour in there, or maybe some cooked rice, just so that you can sort of thicken them up, and maybe chop up some herbs, maybe some even like cooked veggies. So even if you have like leftover veggies as well, you could sort of chop it all up, you know, sort of mix it all up. So you have this sort of mixture that you then harden up a little bit with that rice flour, and then you can make patties out of them. And then, you know, certainly bake them off, or, you know, put them in a on a skillet and do some sear patties on there. And then, you know, you put a sauce over it, a dressing, a little bit of slaw over them. And then suddenly for mashed potatoes, you have potato cakes or potato patties. So that'd be a quick way for me to do that. certainly mashed potatoes can then be turned into a potato soup, a nice thick potato soup. Add some broth, add some veggies, add some herbs, maybe even I think you have a brand that you really like of fire roasted tomatoes, AJ.
Mhm.
Sit back down so you guys can see my face. I think Muir Glen does a really nice product of fire roasted tomatoes. So, mashed potatoes, fire roasted tomatoes, put them in a pot, some broth, and then you have a potato tomato-ish soup. So that'd be a couple ideas for you.
So there's a question from Tracy. What happens if you leave the flaxseed out? Nothing, because you're really only putting it there for nutrition, right?
Right. That it is not for flavor. As I just tasted this is wonderful. Again, my purpose for the flaxseed is to help move things along for everybody. Because we tend to stuff our face, wait 10 minutes to make a slight bit of room, and then we stuff ourselves again. So for nutrition purposes and that fiber to move things along.
Wow, great. And people are asking, you could use frozen cranberries if that's all you had. Sure, right?
Yeah,
No problem
absolutely.
with that.
Yeah.
I actually put chia seeds in mine, not just for nutrition, because it makes it like a little thicker.
Yeah. I thought about that, mentioning, but look at it. How much thicker do you need that to be?
No, it's great. It's just sometimes I'm doing stacks. And so I want it like really kind of like,
I say, okay, yeah.
So question, how long does it keep in the refrigerator once it's made?
Oh, this guy here, because of the acidity level in the cranberries, I've had this like a week later in the fridge. Like I mentioned, I'm prepped. This will be the one I serve on Thursday, and there will be no issues with that.
Yeah.
But even a week later.
We only eat cranberries at this time of year because cranberry juice is available all year round, which means somebody's getting cranberries.
Well, they produce so much of it that, they harvest them, they juice them, and then they store it. And plus, a lot of times with like cranberry juices, you're not really getting, straight up cranberry juice. There's all these other things that they add to them: grape juice, apple juice, water or sugar. So
Gina says she'll be at True North in July and hopes to see an in-person cooking demo from you. And Lisa's
hopefully I'll still be there.
Lisa's asking about the pan. She must mean the pan that Kathy used, the Ozer pan that you recommended.
The Oziri pans, yeah, those are great.
Oziri, sorry about that. And what else are you bringing to your family's Thanksgiving other than the relish?
I'm not sure. We're going to have that conversation today, sort of getting our game plan. We're kind of wrapped up around the fact that my sister just bought a house. So I am going to be a mule today. I'm going to be carrying lots of boxes because they got the U-Haul ready. So somewhere along the lines, we'll talk Thanksgiving and sort of figure things out. My plan really is to bring stuff from True North because I will be working that day till about 2:00. And so that way I'll have something to eat at my parents' house, that plant-based.
Still haven't gotten them to get on board, have you?
They're a lot better now than, they were when I first started at True North. But in the beginning, I really pushed it on them, like, hey, you got to try this, you got to do this, you got to eat this. And I quickly learned that when you do that to people, they just shut you out completely. They don't want to hear about it. So I just lead by example now. Whatever I bring always from work, it gets eaten and they like it. So it's
you keep getting trimmer and better looking as the years go on. I mean, that might be a clue that this thing is.
My mother makes green juice every morning, every single day now. And that's something that was unheard of, 10 years ago. So,
and I have to make a correction. I'm not wearing my glasses. It's Dina, not Gina, that's going to True North, but Gina wishes she was going. So there's a question. If Judy wants to know if you're going to freeze it, can you still put the flaxseed in?
Yeah.
Great. Well, gosh, this was wonderful. It's always good catching up with you. I love the idea of putting the jalapeno in. I sometimes put ginger in mine. So it's a little bit of heat, not quite as hot, but it gives it that little extra. Yeah. The ginger with the ginger and orange go well together, really well together. So that I could see that. Yeah, and I agree with you about the dates, but you can buy pitted dates as long as you just squeeze every one to make sure there's no pit.
Well, you know what happens with that is that once they remove the pits, they start drying out. So they also harden up. So as you squeeze, you're like, oh yeah, I think it'll be fine. And then, I do that from experience.
Well, you're a real chef. You don't buy anything. You make everything difficult. You don't you don't do any shortcuts. I'm like the opposite. Every time I'm doing something, I'm thinking, oh, Chef Bravo, thinking I'm not a real chef because I really do love all the shortcuts. But that's why you are the executive chef. So thanks so much. It's always great catching up with you, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you, AJ. Say hi to Charles and Bailey for me.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was a wonderful presentation. And we have one more chef, or should I say chefs, because now to end with, we have an entire family and they are amazing. I started teaching vegan cooking. February of 2000 was my very first class. February 26th, I believe it was actually. And it's weird because that's the day my dad died. It's a long story, but it's like, the show must go on. He was in another, anyway, I don't need to bore you with the details, but I just happen to remember the date. But I remember I was very nervous teaching my very first class. And I had a mentor. This was in an actual culinary school in Los Angeles. It's not there anymore. If you are interested in knowing about that, Ryan Flegel was the owner, and I did an interview with him because he really did give me my start. And I was very nervous teaching my first class because it was a combination of comedy and cooking. They were calling it comedy cooking for health and good looking. And I taught with my husband, Charles, which was really, really fun. And so my mentor was a chef named David Spain, which if anybody knows if he's still alive or where he is, he was extraordinary. He actually did the menu from the oldest vegetarian restaurant that's still in Canoga Park called Follow Your Heart. And he did all the breakfast menu, like the tofu Benedict and the 2-bean hash. And I always had taken his classes and I really wanted to be, like him. And he said, give them a good dessert and they'll forgive everything. So in other words, it doesn't matter what disaster your meal was, not that your meal will be a disaster, but if you give the people, again, recency and primacy, if you give them a good dessert, they'll forget everything that went there. So we have kids. Now, if these desserts weren't good, these kids wouldn't eat them. These are regular, normal kids. This is the Scott family. We love them so much. They do videos, not just cooking, but fitness, and they are doing it in a state that's not necessarily known for its healthy eating. Please welcome the Scott family. Woo-hoo.
Hey, Chef.
Hey,
Thank
hello,
you for
everybody.
having us.
Oh my God. It's like every time I have you on, the kids are just growing. Pretty soon the mom and dad will be the shortest ones in the family.
I know, you're right. Well, that's what happens when you eat plants, right? We grow this way instead of this way.
That's
so,
right.
Yes, ma'am. It's so good to be here, Chef AJ.
Oh my God. Well, obviously the plant-based diet did not stunt anybody's growth in this family.
No, ma'am. I mean, all of our kids are like the tallest in their age group. And yes, yeah, definitely.
And I remember when they were little.
Yeah.
I know it. Yeah, they were looking up to you. Now you're looking up to them.
Well, the great thing about them is like, because here's the thing, kids don't lie. They don't have the ability to like say something is good when it's not, unless they learn that. And the fact that you make amazing food in general, but like you've done fudgicles out of sweet potatoes, you make yummy. Oh my God, the sweet potato sundae. Check out some of the episodes they did on my channel and their channel. They're called Get to the Root. So you're doing dessert, which is like everybody's favorite course.
That's right, Chef AJ. Matter of fact, dessert was how I converted my family to plant-based eating.
That's right.
My husband was like, Queen, I do whatever you say, but I ain't giving up my desserts, right? So, because he's a dessert kind of man. So I definitely went on a prowl to learn how to make delicious plant-based desserts, right? And then the meals are also, main courses are good too, but they was like, hey, they didn't see it as being deprived because they still had amazing desserts. So
That's right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So what amazing desserts are going to prepare for us today?
Well, today we're going to be making pumpkin
dumplings, pumpkin oat bites, and pumpkin pie.
That's what we'll be making today. And it's actually all the ingredients, it's the same ingredients for all three dishes. They're just made differently. That's all. So yes, ma'am. The pumpkin thumbprints and the oat bites we'll make from one batch, and then we'll make another batch for the pumpkin pie. But it's all the same ingredients for all three recipes.
Well, that's very clever that you
Right.
did.
Yeah. Actually, I was
3-in-1.
designing 3-in-1. I was designing the thumbprints, coming up with that recipe, and I ran out of the crust, and I'm like, oh my God, I only got a little bit of crust left here. I mean, a little bit of filling. So that's when I came up with the oat bites. I just threw some oats in and some pumpkin seeds, mixed it all together, rolled it up and baked it. And I was like, oh, okay, I got a new dessert. So yeah, that's it.
Don't you love it when you can repurpose things? I actually have been doing that lately, and I have something that's going to come out on YouTube. I don't even want to say it. It's mind blowing, where I took a leftover and I ended up making something better than the original from it.
Exactly. They make the best. I'm telling you the truth. There's never no mess up in a plant-based kitchen. It's just another creation. That's what I say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is a great way to look at it. Yep.
Most definitely. So you ready?
Yep. Oh, listen to this. My favorite plant-based family of all time. Love you all, Scott family. This perfect sweet finale for today's holiday celebration.
Oh, how sweet.
Wow,
Well, we
awesome.
love you all.
And listen to this. Valerie says Dad looks like a bodybuilder. Yeah. Are you getting bigger? Are you taking steroids, Bill?
Thank you, Val.
No, you do a workout. It's like every Saturday, right? You
Yes,
do
ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Me and my husband, we go live every Saturday,
Every
and we do in-home workouts. And a lot of times we just use what we have. A lot of times people make excuses for not being able to work out because you can't get to the gym, COVID hit, this and another. Well, we remove all excuses for moving our bodies, and we make it fun. Sometimes we use them 10-pound bags of potatoes and gallons of water and cans of food, you know, so and for weights. So yes, ma'am, we do that every Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, wait. Hey, Shada, what are you doing? Shada just popped in for a second. Shada, get the heck out of here. Let me get rid of her. That is hilarious. Okay.
Good.
Gotta unmute her. That's okay. She's watching from the broadcast studio. Okay, so let's get started.
All right, well, we're ready. We're going to begin with doing our filling first, and thank you.
Yes.
Can we see everything here? Okay, cool. All righty. So the first ingredient we're going to start with, and this is the filling, is pumpkin, pure pumpkin, right? And I like to use the Libby's brand. I don't know if you can see that or not. Okay, no, that's okay. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I think they can see that. Okay. So we have Libby's pumpkin, and we're just going to dump that into the blender. And let's see, get all that out. And this recipe is really nice because you can find Libby's pumpkin all year round. And so you can make this dessert all year round and not just for Thanksgiving. So that's what I like about it.
I mean, I agree with you. And I never understood why certain foods were seasonal when they're available all year round.
Right. That's so true. So true. So next we're going to be adding, what are we going to add next? Jeremiah, what do you want to add? The spices? Okay. All right. Go ahead on. Don't worry about it. Just dump the spices in. All right. You wanted to say what they were? Okay. So the spices are, let's look on our recipe here. Okay. What are the spices? We got pumpkin
pie spice, vanilla bean powder, ground cinnamon, and cloves.
And those are the spices. Let's get them all out right there. Okay.
Tiffany says, Will and Faith have the best workouts every Saturday that I never miss. It's tough and I love it.
Oh, hey, thank you, Tiffany. Yes, she joins us every Saturday. Here you go, baby.
Tiffany from Texas.
Yes, Tiffany, thank you so much. All right, what's next, man?
She's coming on the show. And just so you know, let's see. Valerie says, I mean, Will is cut, slim, but muscular.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, thank you, Valerie.
What's next, man? Hold your ingredient.
Our next ingredient is
so they can hear you.
Our next ingredient is some medjool dates.
All right,
yes.
Good job. And you want to make sure you do pit the dates prior to putting them into the blender because the seeds don't like to be blended. So always check, make sure the pits are out, and even a little stem on the end. Sometimes they get stuck too. All right, what's next?
What is this again?
This is lemon juice.
This is lemon juice.
Yeah.
And some lemon zest.
Got
a funny story about the zest there. You know, I remember years and years ago before we went whole food plant-based, We was making a recipe one time. We was in Virginia, and we walked into the Farm Fresh neighborhood store, and we was looking around for some zest. And at that time, this was many years ago, way before Destiny was born, and she's 14. But many years ago, so we walking around looking for zest in the store. So it was like, okay, so where is this orange zest? So we actually went up to one of the managers in the store, and we said, hey, dude, where can we find the orange zest on this season now? And he looked at us like, what are you talking about? So we didn't know. We didn't know there was actually the peel of whatever the fruit we wanted. So yeah, we didn't know that. So it was just a funny story.
Yeah, that was funny. All right, so next we're going to be adding some apple juice. And last but not least, we're going to use some very ripe bananas. Now today I'm using frozen bananas from my freezer, because a well-stocked plant-based kitchen and freezer always have frozen ripe bananas for ice cream. So I just grabbed some from my freezer. But when we say ripe, this is what we mean when we say a ripe banana. You want it as spotted as possible, okay? So a very ripe banana, and that's all of the filling ingredients, okay? Okay, and next we're going to blend. Let's make sure, is the blender plugged out?
Yeah.
Is it on?
Sure, you're
okay,
good.
Go ahead, Jermaine.
You're good.
I think we're done blending. You want to make sure you blend up those dates pretty well there. Oh yeah. And off the top. Yummy.
Yes.
Smells good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, Mom.
All right. Ooh, I'm just getting all of the ingredients off of there. Okay. Can you give me the food processor?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we have our filling all done. And next we're going to make our crust for the pumpkin thumbprints. Now, you got it right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's go ahead and put that in the sink. You ready? All right. So we're going to get all of our ingredients for our crust. And we definitely will be using our food processor fitted with the S blade. Let me see if you get everything on screen here. Y'all see that? Okay. So this blade is called an S blade because it's shaped like an S. All right. And I love my food processor. All right. So the first thing we're going to begin with is what?
Rolled oats.
All right. And our next ingredient is going to be all the dry spices here. Okay. So not the dates. We'll go with the little pumpkin seeds. Right? Okay.
Now we're gonna add some pumpkin seeds.
Very good. Okay. Next, Jermaine, will be our spices.
Next, we're gonna add our spices.
Which is vanilla bean and some cinnamon. Okay. We'll also be adding some flaxseed. Got to have the flax. All right. Put them in the sink for me.
For heart healthy fats.
Yes, they are. Okay. Ingredients. Now we're not going to turn this into a very fine flour. We want it to be a coarse flour. We still want to see parts of the grain of the oats and the pumpkin seed. So I'm gonna pulse this a few times, maybe about 10 times or so.
Please put some parchment paper down.
All right. So when I say coarse, I don't know if you can see this or not, that's sort of the coarseness that I'm talking about. Okay. Next, we're going to add all of our wet ingredients, which will be, let's do the dates first. Okay. You want to do the dates?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Jamali.
Now we're gonna add some medjool dates.
And they've been chopped. Okay. Yep, that's okay.
Just really chunk together.
Yeah, they are. I like to break them up a little bit. That's okay.
Yeah. 'Cause it was just
All
stuck
right.
together.
Let's see that spoon, Jamali.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Okay. Our next ingredient is going to be some. You want to do the
Unsweetened apple.
Okay. Come on over.
Our next ingredient is some unsweetened apple sauce.
Good job, Jermaine. All right. And Destiny, you want to add milk?
Is this unsweetened?
Yes.
Next is unsweetened milk,
Unsweetened soy milk.
soy milk.
Yes. So you can use whatever plant-based milk you want. All right. And then we're going to pulse this again until the flour begins to clump together. This should be in the same way, like you said. The small red spatula. Just rinse it off. I need it real quick. I need it to go off with this. There you go. All right. All right, so I'm taking my spatula, just running it around the size of the food processor. Now blend it just a little bit more. Process. Okay. Now, for the sake of the demonstration, I will be using this same batch for the thumbprints and put me on the front view.
Okay.
Front view. Yeah, I'll be using the same batch for the sake of the demonstration for the pie crust and the thumbprints. But normally you would use this whole batch of crust for your thumbprints and then make another batch for your pie crust. Okay.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, from Stephanie, what brand of vanilla bean powder do you use?
Oh, that's a good question.
With Belgian?
All right. This is, let's put it on the overhead, baby.
Okay.
The multi-cam is fine.
Okay.
Okay, so I got this brand off of Amazon.
See
What is it?
flip around.
Yeah, that's the one in my Amazon store. I'll post a link. That's what I use.
Okay.
Well.
Yeah. So this is the brand that I use, and I think it's the most affordable one up there. But you know,
It absolutely is. I'll post a link, guys. That's why I use it too. It's very affordable.
it's very affordable because vanilla bean can be very expensive. But this is the brand that I use, and I also use vanilla extract sometimes, but I'm always thinking of individuals that maybe have triggers to alcohol or add a sugar. So in this recipe, you can use vanilla extract if you want. My formula for converting vanilla bean powder to extract is I just double. So like in this recipe, it called for 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla bean, and then if you don't have vanilla bean but you got vanilla extract, then use a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. But I will say, if you're going to use the vanilla extract, you'll add it in at the end of the pulse. Okay. All right. So let's move this top out of the way. All right, and I need my pan.
Okay.
Get some parchment paper. You gotta get a pan. Okay. Get some parchment and a pan with parchment. Okay. All right, so my Superman is getting my cookie sheet.
I want to mention, guys, I should have said this at the top of the show, but this is my 750th episode of Chef AJ Live. I didn't plan it that way, but what better way to celebrate than with a multi-chef cook-off? Cook-along, it's not a cook-off. So guys, make sure you get on my mailing list at chefaj.com because we're doing this again at Christmas and we send out the ingredient list in advance and then all the recipes afterwards. We can't always post everything on YouTube. They limit us to the characters we have.
Okay. All right, Chef AJ. So again, for the sake of the demonstration, I'm only going to do about maybe 4 thumbprints, but I have a little cookie scooper here and I'm gonna dip some dough out and basically just shape it into a little ball, just like that. Put it on the overhead. Overhead on. All right. Yeah, overhead on. Yep. And then I just take my thumb and just press and make like a little crater. Right? You can make it as wide as you want or as small as you want. So, I like to use a wide crater. That way I can get a nice amount of filling in. So, Jamali, what did we discuss? Thank you, because of time's sake, right? All right. So, see that little thumbprint? Okay. All right, so I'll do maybe one more. See that? And you just press it. Put it back on the machine. Okay. Multi-cam. And normally the kids do this part, but because of time's sake, I'm just doing it just for demonstration. And we just press with your thumb until you create that little cup like. Okay. All right. And then we're going to, and this makes about what, 15, 14 thumbprints? Okay, so if we were just doing all thumbprints, this will make about 14, 15 thumbprints. We'll take some filling and we'll put it into the thumbprint impression.
Let me just thank Angela Fischetti for the super chat donation. Answer Melissa's question, how do you get on your list? Just go to chefaj.com and sign up for our newsletter. We send out the show schedule every week. And there was a nice comment I wanted to read to you guys. People love your camera angle. They love the way that you do your camera so that they can see so well.
Oh, thank you. Okay, and again, for time's sake, okay, that's what the thumbprints will look like. And this will make about 14, 15 thumbprints. Now, and you will use all of this crust for the thumbprint, okay? But for the sake of the show, we're gonna also use this same batch of crust for our pie. So I'm going to remove the S blade. Okay. And also, if you were making the thumbprints and the oat bites, you would, I meant to say that, you would separate out 1 cup of the puree and set that aside, and that'll be for the oat bites, and the remaining 2 cups of filling will be for your thumbprints, okay? So I'm gonna parchment paper there. Yep, and I'm just transferring. Can you see this? Let's do over here only, just for a moment. Okay. I'll set this over here to the side right now. Okay. We'll need a food processor again. Okay. And then let's go to the
once again. Alrighty.
There we go. Okay. So let me wash my hands again.
You know, the best part about doing these recipes today is that we all get a chance to eat all of them. So that's the greatest part.
Okay, let's bring this over here. Watch out, Mama. Okay, so now we're gonna make our oat bites, Chef AJ. And again, remember I told you this recipe was created because I ran out of crust for my thumbprints, but I still had filling left. So basically all I did was I took one, I think it's 1.5 cup of oats. And where's that with the spatula? Pumpkin seed. Yeah, let's put the pumpkin seed in there. And some pumpkin seeds. And then I just pulse this again into like a rough flour. Again, we're not turning it into, you know, the very fine flour. We want it textured, like this is the right word. Okay, a couple more pulse. Check that out. And again, you want the seed have some texture, and you can remove this here. Now we're gonna remove the Escalade.
Why is it watery?
There to do. And
Why is it watery?
that's just the moisture from the pudding, from the filling. All right, and then we're gonna dump in the pumpkin filling, and this is 1 cup. Yeah, sure. And Jemiah is gonna mix it all up for us. Mix it. Can you see you mix? Let's see. See that? All right. You got it, Maya? All right, let me help you out a little bit, okay? Good job. Good job. Good job. Some mama strength here. Okay. And you just mix it all up together till everything is moistened with the pumpkin filling. And then you basically, on the same cookie sheet, because you'll have space, on the same cookie sheet, you're gonna scoop out the pumpkin and the oats. And you're gonna make little balls. And I think this make about, I don't know, 10, maybe 10 oat bites or so. Where's the cookie scooper? Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. So you take the cookie scooper and so you scoop it out. Now this dough is going to be a little bit moister than the thumbprint. Excuse me. Than the thumbprint. Okay. And you're just going to gently roll it into a ball like that and place it onto your cookie sheet. You see that? And then stop Jemiah. All right, and we'll do this again. Just like that, and place it down. Then next we will garnish your oats with your oat bites with 4 pumpkin seeds. So go to, you got overhead only? Yeah, do the multi-cam, that's fine. And Jemiah, you put 4 seeds on there, and then Jermaine, you do 4 seeds, okay? North, south, east, west. Got it? You overhead on? North, south, east, west. Good job. Good job. All right. And Jermaine, you do the next one right there.
Question, Faith. Stephanie says, what is the purpose of having aluminum foil under the parchment paper on the sheet pan?
Okay, I'll tell her what it is. Hold on just a minute. Hurry up, Jermaine. Okay, you can bring it to the front. Okay. And who was that to ask, Stephanie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, 2 reasons. One, the number 1 reason, my pans are like 30 years old and they look bad. So I put aluminum foil down there, right? And then the other reason is I've noticed when I cook these, if I don't have aluminum foil under them, they tend to burn, right? Before on the bottom before getting done. So so that's 2 reasons. But if you have like a what is the name of that silicone seal pat? Is that seal pat?
Yeah, Silpat nonstick silicone baking sheet.
Yeah, yes. You could try using that, and then that way you won't be producing you know, waste. And then you may have to let them cook a little longer because they're very moist. So the paper, using parchment paper, help it to dry out just a little bit. And so yeah, but it's really optional. But yeah, I have the foil down for 2 reasons. One, my pans are really, really old. I just won't throw them away. And then the second one is when I just use parchment paper, they tend to burn quicker before they're actually done. So so it's like having 2 layers on a pan. All right. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. And I want to read a nice comment from Kathy. Where did it go? Just want to say we love your recipes, Scott family, and your Saturday morning workout. And Jennybug has a question. If you could fill the thumbprint cookies with something else other than pumpkin, say like chia jam.
Sure. Oh yeah. Yes. Hey, baby, the sky is the limit. Yes. You do whatever floats your boat. You can fill it whatever you want. I just love the crust because it's just all natural, no added sugar. You have the pumpkin bites or the pumpkin seeds in there for a little crunch, you know, for a little bit of toothsomeness. And yeah, but you can fill it with whatever you want. I make some cranberry relish. I might try putting some of that in there and baking it a little bit. I know that sounds good.
Actually, ooh, cranberry relish, and it sounds great.
Yes, honey, that sounds amazing. Yeah. So yeah, so we have our do the multi-cam view. Right. So we have the thumbprints and the oat bites, and you basically cook these in a preheated oven at 350 for about 18 to 20 minutes. I let them cook long enough for the bottom to become a little golden brown. Okay. And those are our thumbprints. Okay, you can put that over there. Next, I'm going to demonstrate to you how we create our pie crust. All right. So we have our crust here, and you transfer it from the food processor. And I have it down on some parchment paper, and I'm just shaping it into a mound. Okay, little disc-like. Yeah, that's fine. And then I'm gonna take another sheet of parchment paper. Now, if you see, I don't know if you can see that, I have a circle drawn on there, and that's the circumference of my pan that I'll be using. Okay, and smash this out just a little bit more. Okay, here. And I'm gonna take a rolling pin and just roll the dough out to the circumference of my circle. Now you can go a little bit past it if you want. Roll it out. Roll it up. Okay. Over here. Oh, thank you. All right. And again, the crust is the same crust that we use for the thumbprints. All natural, no added sugar, whole grain. No oil. No oil is needed. No oil is needed. All right. Okay. So our crust, flatten it a little bit more. Okay. All right. We will remove our crust, and I need a pen. First to work on here. Okay, and you simply take your pie pan, lift up your crust. You flip your pie pan onto the crust, and then you invert them both, just like that. And then I like to just sort of smooth the crust down into the pan, just like that. The paper off. Now, I know she looks a little raggedy right now, but that's okay because we're going to shape her. Can I have a butter knife?
There's not in there.
No butter knife? Okay. Need a butter knife or paring knife? There's getting me a knife. And basically what I do is butter knife. Okay, thank you. All right. Then we just trim off the edges right here like this. Just trim it off. And we're going to fill in the size of the crust where it looks a little weak or thin. Just going to press everything in. Can y'all see that? All right, just trim it off. course, the kids want to grab a piece of the crust, and they make great bites too. You can probably make them into little bites.
Go to the bottom, honey.
Okay, that's fine.
They have phone view in the bottom.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm just pressing. You might can't see how much I'm pressing, but I'm taking the excess dough and I'm just pressing it into the pan, filling in the sides. Okay, that's all you do. Just fill in the sides. Okay. Any questions, Chef AJ?
Let me look. I get so interested watching the demo. I sometimes forget. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Lindsay said I just subscribed to the Scott Family YouTube channel.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate you. Yeah, we appreciate.
Well, here I actually have a question. What are you making for your entire Thanksgiving meal for the family?
Oh my goodness, what are we not making? We're gonna have stuffed pumpkin,
Mac and no cheese.
Mac and no corn on the cob,
Mac and no
Stuffing.
cheese.
dressing, cornbread dressing.
Yeah,
What else we're gonna have?
Relish.
Chickpea loaf.
Yeah,
We're gonna do some veggie brown rice ribs.
yeah,
Let's see, some
Cheesecake.
coconut collards.
yeah.
What else? Pumpkin cheesecake. We're gonna make these pumpkin bites. What else? We're gonna make your German chocolate cake.
Your German check, yes,
They only get
Yes.
it once a year because it's so laborsome, but
We
it's
love
worth
it.
it. It's
Yes.
worth it. So I told them that I would make it this Thanksgiving.
yes.
And let's see what else, guys. What else we gonna have for Thanksgiving?
Cornbread, always.
We got the- we got
Cornbread,
the,
some cranberry relish.
Cranberry
What
relish,
else?
yeah.
Potato
the
salad.
yams.
Chef
Oh,
AJ,
wow.
honey.
Yes.
This week I created, I'm gonna try to get the blog out before Thanksgiving. I created candied yams, honey, the new and improved
improved.
candied yams, because I'm from the South and our version is not too healthy. But we love candied yams. We want to eat them during, the holidays.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna try to get that blog out. The new and improved
Yes.
Southern candied yams.
They're gonna
All
be
right.
good.
So here's our crust. Can y'all see that? Let's see. That's the crust. And
That's over here. Let me go
Yep.
over here.
so that's the crust.
Mhm.
So pretty. And then I like to use a pie shield, and this is a silicone one. And I just wrap it around the pan like that. And I pre-bake this in the oven for 8 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay. And can you hand me the other pie crust that we already have pre-baked?
350 degrees is very hot.
It is. All right, so here's one I already have pre-baked. And then we're gonna take the pumpkin filling and fill our pie.
Yum, yum.
Yes.
Equal to one.
Okay.
It's a very easy recipe. Like I said, you can do the pumpkin bites to, help, I don't know, regulate how much you eat, because I could eat this whole pie by myself. So, the pumpkin pie bites, you might, okay, I'll just take one. But you can do the pumpkin pie bites. They make great hors d'oeuvres. Or you can do the pie. I also like, just pies because I'm from the South. So we like good old fashioned pies. So yeah, there we go. Okay, put that in the sink.
This recipe was easy as pie.
Oh
Get it?
yeah. Mhm.
I get it, easy as pie.
Yeah, Jermaine is our little comedian, bless his heart. All right, so we just basically smooth the filling, and I like to do a little design. You can do whatever you want, but just make sure it's smoothed out. And I like to put a little design on top. All right, and then again, I like to go with the pie shield. You can give me the pie shield there. And bake this in the oven. Make sure you use your pie shield because that'll keep the crust from burning. Okay.
That's so cool. I need to get one of those. I never saw that.
Oh yeah, they wonderful. I used to use aluminum foil, and I used that in one of my blogs, and Lord have mercy, the folks talked about me so bad. She need to be ashamed of herself. Put it on multi-cam. You're using aluminum foil. That's not good. It's going into your food. I said, well, my goodness, that was all I had. So anyway, these make nice because they're reusable. So, and it'll fit up to a 10 or 11-inch pan. It's adjustable, so they're really wonderful. All right, so we bake this in the oven for 30 minutes. And move this out the way. We have the finished product here. We have our dumplings. And I'm gonna put it up close so y'all can see. Ready? So there's the dumplings that can change a bit.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. You going
That's
over
gonna
here?
change it over here.
Yes.
So there's the thumbprints and the oat bites. And then we have our pumpkin pie.
Yes.
And you definitely, let this cool for at least 30 minutes before you slice it. Now, I will say as a disclaimer, the crust, because of the dates, will stick to the edge of the pan. All you need to do is just take a little pouring knife and break the seal from around the pan, and then it'll come right up out the pan. So no big deal, right? Not that you need to go get some oil and spray your pan down. It's just the dates. It causes it to stick right around the edge. So yeah, you just take a little butter knife and pull it away, and then it'll come right up out the pan. So there you have it, Chef AJ.
Yes.
Go to the front view. There you go.
All right.
Wow. So are those the ones you're going to have Thanksgiving? You're going to just eat those this weekend and then make new ones?
Oh, yes, because this will be gone today.
You're right.
My family will devour these today. So yes, ma'am, we'll be making new desserts for Thanksgiving. But there you have it, pumpkin pie, pumpkin thumbprints, and pumpkin oat bites.
Pumpkin oat bites.
Wow. When can we look forward to seeing the candied yam recipe on your channel?
Matter of fact, when we get off from being live with you, I will be shooting the video for that, and I plan on having that up in about within the next day, 2 days. So y'all just pray for you, girl, because they are amazing, Chef AJ. I mean, they are truly amazing. So we appreciate you having us. We appreciate everybody for being on with us. We felt honored and blessed to be with all these other amazing chefs. But the Scott family, we keep it real, and y'all know what we say, right, about our health.
That's right.
Wait. You got to end the show with that. Let me just say goodbye and ask one more question. I want you to end the show today. But first, there's a question. What size pie pan is that? Jesse wants to know.
This is a 9-inch. 9-inch.
Thank you.
Right?
And do you refrigerate it? Do you refrigerate it?
Sure, it'll last up to, it never do in my house, but it can last up to 7 days in the refrigerator, the pumpkin pie bites and all. Now, I will say the oat bites, I like to rewarm them in the microwave for a couple of seconds, and they're amazing in the morning, if you just want to grab something. But the pie and the thumbprints can be eaten cold, but yeah, they're all amazing. And they will keep in the fridge for up to 7 days if they last that long.
Yes.
Great. And Lindsay says, are your collard green and mac and cheese recipes on your website or YouTube channel?
Yes, ma'am. The coconut collards are our favorite holiday collards, and the potato salad is up there.
Yes.
We also have mashed potatoes, the mac and cheese is up
Yes.
there, the cranberry sauce, all of that is up there. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you like literally the only one in the South that eats healthy?
Probably, but that's why we're here, to shine the light to the world, to Southern folks, that you can't eat delicious food and be healthy.
Absolutely.
And look great and feel great. Well, I'm going to let you guys end the show, but I just want to thank all the chefs that participated today. I want to thank everyone for watching. Again, if you're on my mailing list at chefaj.com, we'll send you the recipes as soon as possible. If not, please consider getting on it. Please come back tomorrow when we have 2 shows. Katie May, who could not get on today, is coming back as a bonus tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time to do the entree, the lentil loaf. So you get a bonus show. And 11 a.m. my regular show time, I have Sarah Zayed, who is now a medical student in lifestyle medicine, who was a software engineer. So that should be very interesting. So I'll let you guys end the show.
Awesome.
All right. Always remember, our health is our wealth.
Yes.
So let's get to the root of obtaining and sustaining it by
eating more plants.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Oh, wait.